Well, folks, let me tell you, every day I stand right here at my newsstand watching the world hustle and bustle around me, and you know what I see? Not just headlines, not just breaking news. I see resilience, I see kindness, and I see people looking out for one another. It's easy to get caught up in the chaos, but let's not forget the good. The laughter between friends, the helping hand of a stranger, simple joys that remind us all that brighter days are always ahead. Yeah. Now, speaking of staying informed and ready for anything, it's time to turn things over to the man who keeps us in the know, our very own Jason Monet. Jason, what's making headlines today?
Hello, and thanks for tuning in again to News Bytes. I'm Jason Monet, and here are the top trending news stories. Government shutdown. Tariff costs. SpaceX delay. And goodbye, old friend. Here's Jordan Sinclair.
Whew, that was a close one. The U.S. has averted a government shutdown after the Senate passed a Republican-led measure to keep the government funded for the next 6 months. The stopgap funding bill passed in the Senate 54-46 as 2 Democrats joined all but 1 Republican senator in voting yes. President Donald Trump must now sign it into law before the Friday midnight deadline. The key vote came earlier when some Senate Democrats, after fierce debate, allowed the measure to pass a procedural hurdle. The Senate Minority Leader, Democrat Chuck Schumer, and 9 others broke with their colleagues to vote to advance the bill to its final Friday evening vote. Jason!
Yes, Jordan, that was a close one. Though the government is funded for now, the battle over spending priorities is far from over. With this bill only extending funding for 6 months, lawmakers will be right back at the negotiating table before year's end. For now, the lights stay on in Washington. But as the political divides deepen, the question remains, how long until the next shutdown fight begins? For more updates on government spending and political developments, stay with News Bytes. Here's Janelle.
Trump's tariffs set to hit grocery prices. What shoppers need to know. Hi. I'm Janelle. Shoppers may soon feel the impact of President Donald Trump's tariffs at the checkout line, as import taxes on goods from Canada, Mexico, and China are set to take effect on April 2nd. With additional tariffs expected to roll out in the coming months, consumers should prepare for rising costs on key grocery staples. Fresh produce prices on the rise imports play a significant role in keeping grocery store shelves stocked. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, imported goods now account for 60% of fruits sold in the U.S., 40% of vegetables sold nationwide. With new tariffs adding 20% to costs on goods from China, and similar levies affecting imports from Mexico and Canada, 3 of the biggest suppliers of American produce, everyday food items could soon see price hikes. Which foods will be most affected? An NBC News analysis of U.S. Census Bureau data highlights some of the key grocery staples that could see the sharpest price increases. Avocados, largely imported from Mexico, making them vulnerable to new tariffs. Berries, a major import from Canada and Mexico, meaning costs could surge. Potatoes, heavily sourced from Canada, where tariffs could lead to higher prices. With fresh produce being particularly perishable, grocery stores may have limited ability to stockpile ahead of the price jumps, meaning shoppers could see higher costs within weeks. Jason.
It's easy to think that President Donald Trump's new tariffs on steel and aluminum won't have much of an impact on the average American. After all, most of us aren't out buying raw metals. But the reality is, those 25% tariffs could hit your wallet in ways you might not expect. From the cans that hold your food and drinks to the cars on the road and the appliances in your home, steel and aluminum are everywhere. And since a significant portion of these materials come from overseas, businesses facing higher costs could soon pass those expenses on to consumers. That means we might all be paying more at the checkout sooner rather than later. We'll be keeping a close eye on the fallout from these tariffs in the coming weeks. But for now, let's shift from economic tensions here on Earth to a crisis far beyond our atmosphere. Coming up next, stranded astronauts return from orbital space. Stay with us You won't want to miss this story.
Two astronauts, Sunita Williams and Barry Wilmore, are set to return to Earth after spending 9 months aboard the International Space Station, ISS, a milestone few have reached. Their return will not only mark a successful mission, but also kickstart a crucial recovery process, as prolonged exposure to microgravity takes a toll on the human body. The effects of space on the body in space. The absence of gravity weakens bones and muscles. Without the constant force that stimulates bone-building cells, astronauts lose about 1% of their bone density each month. Even though Williams and Wilmore exercise daily to counteract these effects, they will still likely face significant muscle atrophy and bone loss upon their return. When we get back, even to lift a pencil, we will feel the weight, Wilmore said in a recent interview. NASA's lead flight surgeon, Dr. Stephen Gilmore, confirms that upon landing, the astronauts will begin a 45-day rehabilitation program, dedicating 2 hours a day to rebuilding strength and mobility. Most astronauts return to their pre-flight fitness levels within this time frame, though longer missions present greater challenges. What happens to the brain and vision? Extended space travel doesn't just affect bones and muscles, it alters circulation in the body. Without gravity, fluids shift from the legs to the upper body and head, sometimes leading to vision problems. This condition, known as spaceflight-associated neuroocular syndrome, SANS, can cause long-term eyesight changes. Past studies, including NASA's twin study, have also revealed slower cognitive processing speeds in some astronauts, while others report enhanced focus. These changes tend to normalize upon returning to Earth. Radiation exposure in space. Unlike on Earth, where the ozone layer protects us, astronauts are exposed to high levels of cosmic radiation, equivalent to about 1 year's worth of exposure on Earth, for every week spent on the ISS. This radiation disrupts cellular function, damages DNA, and may weaken the immune system over time. The road to recovery. Despite these challenges, NASA's rehabilitation protocols help astronauts regain their strength and adapt back to Earth's gravity. While Williams and Wilmore will likely face weeks of physical adjustment, their return provides valuable insight into the future of long-term space travel and what it might mean for future missions to Mars and beyond.
After a delayed first attempt, NASA's SpaceX Crew 10 successfully docks at ISS. Lifting off from Kennedy Space Center aboard a Falcon 9 rocket, the spacecraft soared to 17,500 miles per hour as it began its journey to the International Space Station. For NASA astronauts Sunita "Suni" Williams and Butch Wilmore, this marks a crucial step closer to returning home after 9 months in orbit. The hatch scheduled to open early Sunday morning, bringing them one giant step closer to Earth. We'll continue to track their journey, but for now, that's a wrap on our coverage of their long-awaited return. Lastly, we say a heartfelt goodbye to ex-NBA, homeboy and entrepreneur Junior Bridgman. Catch you on the rebound, bro.